Welcome everybody. We're here at the Del Oro Animal Shelter in Butte County, California. This address is 2279 Del Oro in Oroville, California. And we're here to show you around the animal shelter that's set up and active during disasters that are affecting Butte County residents. What I'd like to do is show you the process and the facility, not necessarily in an active situation, but the way that we have it set up and prepared to take care of these animals during the disaster. And we're going to start off right here at the intake table. This is the most important aspect of a sheltering operation. This is where we're able to gather all of the information from the owners. We need accurate and in-depth information of details of their contact information, as well as the animal information, to make sure that we can keep those animals safe while they're here in our stay, as well as we can get them back to the owners when we need to. So along with the importance of documentation and identification of these animals goes with the master intake form and the animal intake form. Each animal within this facility will receive an animal intake form and an individual animal ID number that will stay with the animal throughout the stay here, and if it needs to go to the vet or anything like that, so we can track it back and make sure that it returns to the family it belongs. So when you guys come to volunteer and help with the small animal disaster shelter here at Del Oro, you're going to set up in the volunteer parking over back behind us, and the most important is going to be to sign in. We need to make sure that we're going ahead and documenting that you're here and the number of hours that you're able to perform for this operation. It is very vital for FEMA to make sure that we're always documenting, and that includes signing in and signing out, as well as your daily log 214 form. Most important things in this aspect to make sure that you're safe and it's documented the great efforts that we're doing here. So here at Del Oro, we work under the Incident Command Structure, also known as ICS, which many of you guys already know or will learn under ICS 100 and 200. But the key is that we work under an operational chain of command as well as a scope of authority. So everybody knows who that they're communicating with, who their command is, so that way information has a way to flow up and down the chain of command. So make sure that everybody has the information that they need, as well as communicates to the upper management, so that way we can plan effective strategies to make sure that we're performing to the best of our ability and to the animals in need. Del Oro is very unique in its setup. We have a gated sally port in here for the safety of the animals as well as the employees and resources. Each individual animal species has an entrance on their own. So this is cat general entrance. The dog general entrance will be down there a little ways. The great thing about Del Oro is that it can house right now, with minimal setup, over 250 animals. So right now we have an estimate that about 150 dogs, 100 cats, and about 30 exotics is what we can accept immediately, with a little expansion up to what we call the palace area. But the great thing about that is in 15 minutes we can start intaking animals. Now let's talk about the personnel a little bit. We are estimating that we need 46 people every 12-hour operational period. That includes 9 people to do management, as shelter management, intake lead, dog lead, cat lead, and so on, as well as veterinary staff, a veterinarian and 2 veterinary technicians. And the remaining 33 are those key personnel that are caring for those animals on an individual basis. Those are the ones that are taking them for a walk. Those are the ones that are feeding them and giving them enrichment. Not to mention the documentation and identifications to make sure that these animals are staying healthy while they're in our care, and they're able to return home to their families better and brighter and happier than even before. This is the dog general room, where we are set up to accept a multitude of dogs from various sizes, set up between these magnum panels as well as the large wire kennels. The benefit is that this room is adaptable depending upon what we receive in. If we receive a large amount of small dogs from one family, we can set them up where they're a little bit more comfortable and they can be accepting. In Dog Calm, we have the opportunity to set up dogs that are a little bit higher stress or a little bit more anxiety in a room that there's a lot less foot traffic in, where they have the ability to kind of stay quiet and calm and a little bit more relaxed than being really energized when people are around. So as we talked about at the intake table, each animal receives an intake form with an individual animal ID number. This form will stay with this animal at the kennel until we exchange it with an animal care schedule. This animal care schedule is like a daily log for that animal. It lets us know if it's eating, drinking, peeing, pooping, and when it's gone for a walk. That animal intake and animal care schedule will be filled out with details such as the owner's information as well as identifying marks. Additionally, each dog will receive a paper collar with that individual ID number on that collar, so that way we have documentation both on the collar, the animal care schedule, as well as that intake card to make sure that they get back home to their families. So each room is set up with a dry erase board, and it's set up in a grid pattern depending upon how the kennels are set up. So those animals with the individual ID numbers can be put into these boxes, so that way we can quickly identify them and quickly, easily return them to their owners. Additionally, here we have a map set up of the layout of Del Oro, including the dog general and the dog com that we just came out of. This is a dry erase type, so that way we can write our needs on there to fill our 213s, whether it's dog food, cat food, or anything along those lines. So as we go through Del Oro, these rooms are set up on an individual basis depending upon our needs, such as the dog isolation, where we have some kennels set up just in case we have some dogs that have contagious disease such as kennel cough or anything along those lines. The egress and ingress is limited based upon a separate individual door that they can come in, and the personnel that are handling them will be specifically designated, so that way we don't have any exposure to our dog general area for the risk of spread of disease. These rooms are set up for individual needs. As you see, this is designed for the cat isolation. This is also a great room for us to use for exotic animals such as parrots or reptiles. We can control the environment in here to increase the level of humidity or decrease depending upon the species needs. And that's beneficial for us, as we are always able to adapt depending upon the animals that we need to care for. This room is an amazing room that's kind of closed off but still has a lot of room. We treat it a lot like we do our dog com for our cats. If we have some cats that are a little bit more stressed out or fractious, they're able to be in this room with less foot traffic to decrease their stress. That being said, if we come into the situation where we need to house 40 rabbits, this room may be allocated to those 40 rabbits or so on. We will always adapt to the needs, and that will be based off of the decision between management and the shelter leads. So here we are in the Cat General area. Cat General is set up with primarily these cat condos that are set up in 6 to 4 block living quarters for these guys. We do everything we can to keep them as less stressed as possible, including keeping their kennels in their condos so that they're a little bit less stressed, introducing some enrichment toys for them to play with, as well as cat hammocks to make them comfortable. We do everything that we can to make sure that we ensure their well-being both physically and mentally. These condos can be set up so that way they can be created into a 2-story or 3-story playground for multiple cats that came from a single household that are comfortable together, to make sure that they're healthy both physically and mentally, and there's no risk in biosecurity in those ways. Here we are in the communications room of the Del Oro shelter, and this is the key point of the operations. This is where the management performs its actions, to include the logistical planning to make sure that the shelter has everything that it needs, including dog food, including personnel, cleaning supplies and such, as well as where we input all of our data and analyze all of that information. These yellow copies come up to the front. They get inputted into our computer system for both identification to make sure that these animals get back home, as well as if we have any animals that are unclaimed, basically owner unidentified stray animals. That way their pictures can go up on the website and hopefully get reunited with the owners. Hey everybody, I'd like to thank you for coming along on a tour of Del Oro Animal Shelter with me. I just wanted to express that Del Oro Animal Shelter is one of the true pinnacles of the animal operations during a disaster here in Butte County. And it's people like you guys that are here sacrificing your time and your energy to take care of these animals that are truly affected by the disaster, as well as their families. It's a real inspiration to me, as well as the residents of Butte County, to take care of these guys at their worst time and make sure that they're happy and healthy until we can get them reunited with their families.